Hi everyone, welcome to Techie World. So today I'll take you through the concept of method overriding in Java. So let's straight away jump to the topic. So what exactly is method overriding? So we can define method overriding in Java as a process of implementing superclass methods in the subclasses with the same signature. When I say signature, I simply means method signature. Okay. Now, method overriding can also be called as dynamic polymorphism or runtime polymorphism or late binding. Okay. So, whether dynamic polymorphism or runtime polymorphism is slightly related to the method overriding, it is not exactly synonymous to the method overriding. Okay. And when it comes to late binding happens in method overriding. That's why we can relate late binding term with the method overriding. Why it is a late binding? Because at the compile time, JVM doesn't know which object is there in the class reference. I'll discuss that in detail in the coming slides. So that's why method overriding can be called as late binding as well. Okay. So that's the first thing about method overriding in Java. Okay. First is method overriding is also called as dynamic polymorphism or runtime polymorphism or rather late binding. Okay. Now let's have some of the theoretical part about method overriding in Java, and then we'll see why to override a method, what is the benefit of it, and then we'll see the rules of method overriding in Java. And after that, we'll do a small code demo where we will try to understand how method overriding works in Java. Okay, so let's move to the first part of it, that is theoretical part about method overriding in Java. So in the theoretical part about method overriding in Java, we have the first point. The first point is method overriding is a fundamental concept in the object oriented programming language. Okay, especially in Java. So in Java, overriding is the most important concept, and the reason for that is we'll discuss when I'll explain you why method overriding is required in Java. Okay. The second point about method overriding in Java is it actually allows the subclasses to provide a specific implementation for the method that is already defined in its superclass, right? That's what I told you in the beginning itself, that method overriding is a process of implementing superclass method in the subclasses with the same signature. Okay. Or rather, in other words, we can say when a subclass has a method with the same name and return type and the parameter as a method present in its superclass, then it can be said that this is an overridden method. And that's exactly the third point about method overriding in Java is. So we can say in other words, when a subclass has a method with the same name, return type, and parameter as a method in its superclass, it is said to be overriding that method. Okay. To understand point number three in a better way, let's have a look on this statement. So when you see this statement, when a method in a subclass has the same name, same parameter or signature, and the same return type or its subtype, that is called covariant type, that we will discuss in the coming slide, as a method in its superclass, then the method in the subclass is said to be override the method in the superclass, right? So basically, if you have a method in subclass which has some name, return type, and method signature, okay, then if the same method is present with the same name, same method return type, same method parameter, everything is same in the superclass, then you can say in the subclass, superclass method is overridden. Okay. And as I discussed in the beginning itself, we can achieve dynamic or runtime polymorphism with the help of method overriding in Java. That is the last point about method overriding in Java. Now, what is the requirement of method overriding in Java? Why it is required to override a method in Java? Okay. So let us try to understand why it is required to override a method in the Java. Okay. So we know that we follow object-oriented principle in the Java because Java is a object-oriented programming language, right? So according to the object-oriented best practices, classes are basically closed for the any modifications. Okay. So let us say you have written a class A and you are providing some implementation there, some functionality there, and let us say in future it is required to provide one more functionality. Okay. So as per the standard practice of the object oriented programming, the modification in the classes are prohibited. You can always extend a class or write a subclass to the class, and then provide the remaining functionality there. That's the standard practice that we follow in the object-oriented programming language, right? So that is the reason why we override the method. So let us see why we override the method. Okay, so why to override a method? The first point about why we override a method is the same as I already told you, that according to the object-oriented best practices, classes are closed for modification, which means if you want to modify the functionality of the existing class, then you should not disturb the existing class and rather write a subclass and provide the required implementation. That's the reason why we prefer overriding a method in the subclasses. Okay. Now, to override a method in the subclass, you need to follow certain rules. Like when we discussed, if you remember, when we discussed the method overloading, we talked about the rules that we must follow while overloading the methods, right? So now here we are discussing overriding the method. So here we need to follow some strict rules that we actually need to follow when we are overriding a method. Okay. So what are the rules that we need to follow while overriding a method in Java? So as we already discussed, method name must be same and method parameter must also be same. Method return type must be same also, right? So these three rules you need to understand. Method name must be same, method parameter must be same, method return type must be same. And if the method return type is a class, right? We can have a method which returns a class, right? That we do actually. Let us say you are writing an API where it is required to return the user details. There you won't return in a map, right? That the standard practice is you return the class. You write a POSO or rather DTO, data transfer object. You set everything in the data transfer object and you return the entire class. So we can say if the method return type is a class, then you can return the same class or covariant type. And this covariant type you can return for the class came actually in Java 5. Okay. Now let us try to understand what is covariant type. What is covariant type? So before Java 5, when the return type of method is a class, you can only return that class only. There was no flexibility. Okay. But from Java 5 onwards, they introduced, or rather Java people introduced, that you can return a covariant type also. Okay. Returning the covariant type actually allowed more flexibility to our code. Okay. And what does covariant actually means? So let us say there are two classes, class A and class B, and the method return type, let us say there is a method M, and the return type of the method is class A. Okay. And class B is extending class A. Okay. So for class A, the covariant type is class B. So if there is a return type of class A, you can always return class B. That is called covariant type, which means subclass of the class that is being returned in the method. Okay. That's what we call covariant return type. And this feature came in Java 5. Okay. We're discussing rules of the method overriding. So the first point we already discussed, method name must be same. Second point, method parameter must be same. Third point, method return type must be same. And fourth point that we are discussing currently is that if the method return type is a class, then you can return the same class or covariant type of, right, from the Java 5. Now, what is covariant type? We already discussed. Covariant type was introduced in Java 5, which allow an overriding method to return a subclass of the return type of the overridden method. This feature enhances the flexibility without breaking the method overriding rule. Okay, so that's about rules of method overriding in Java. Okay, now there are special cases where let us say your method that you are trying to override in your subclasses, it is throwing some checked or unchecked exception. Okay, then what overridden method in the subclass should do, or rather can do. Okay. So in that situation, what I have done, I have divided this situation into two cases. One where it is throwing a method level checked exception in the superclass method. Okay. So what will happen if there is a case where superclass method is throwing method level checked exceptions? Then what subclasses overriding method can do? Okay. In that situation, if the superclass method is throwing method level checked exception, then what does superclass overriding method can do? What it can do? It can either ignore the method level exception and let the caller of the method handle that exception, or rather, it can throw the same exception and subclasses method can throw the exception which is subclass to the superclass method. What does this mean? So let's have a look on this diagram. So if you have a look on this diagram, so I said superclass can throw the exception which is subclass to the superclass method exceptions. What does this mean? This means, let us say this IO exception is a fully checked exception, right? This interrupted exception is a fully checked exception. So this IO, if the superclass method is throwing IO exception, you can always throw file not found exceptions. But if the superclass method is throwing file not found exception, you cannot throw the IO exception. That's what I mean when I say subclasses method can throw the exception which is subclass to the superclass method exception. Okay, subclasses cannot throw the exception which is superclass to the superclass method exception. That simply means if the superclass is throwing file not found exception, you cannot throw IO exception. Okay, and subclasses method cannot throw the exception which is non-subclass to the superclass. What does that mean? If the superclass method is throwing IO exception, okay, then you cannot throw interrupted exception in the subclass. Okay, it means either you can throw this IO exception or any subtype or rather subclass of the IO exception, which could be file not found exception. Okay, and subclasses method can throw the unchecked exception in any case, whether the superclass throwing the checked exception or unchecked exception. Okay, so in case one, what we discussed, subclass method can ignore the exception or throw the same exception or throw subclasses exception. Okay, which we already discussed. Now let us see the second case where if the superclass method is throwing method level unchecked exception, then what subclasses can do. Okay, if it is throwing method level unchecked exception, then subclass method can ignore the method level exception. It can do in both the cases. It can throw the same exception or subclass method can throw any other unchecked exceptions. Okay, but subclasses cannot throw any checked exception. Let us try to understand this point. So if you see here on the diagram, if the superclass method is throwing runtime exception or arithmetic exceptions or null pointer exception, then you cannot throw any checked exception, which means you cannot throw IO exception or file not found exception, right? If the superclass method is throwing index out of bound exception, you can always throw string index out of bound exception or array index out of bound exception. So that's the rule we need to take care while overriding the method in Java. Okay, so let us see what happens in the second case, which we already discussed. So in the second case, subclasses method can ignore the exception or throw the same exception, but cannot throw any checked exception that we already discussed. Okay, but in both the cases we already discussed, subclasses overriding method can throw any unchecked exceptions. Okay, let's have a look on some method overriding Java hands-on, where we will try to understand method overriding from the coding perspective. Okay, now let us say we are trying to write an interface called bank. Okay, and what we'll do, we'll try to write multiple subclasses to that interface. Okay, and we'll try to see how it behaves. Okay, so if you see, I have written one interface called bank. It has one abstract method called public float get interest rate. Okay, now I'm writing one SBI bank class which will actually return the rate of interest for the bank of SBI, that is State Bank of India, right? So what I'm doing, I'm trying to write a class SBI bank which is implementing the bank interface, and we are trying to override this get interest rate method available in the interface bank, and we are trying to return 5.5 float value. Okay, now the next class we are trying to write is PNB bank, and here we are trying to return 6.5, and we are overriding the same method available in the bank interface. In the third case, what we are trying to write a HDFC bank and we are trying to return 7.5 float. Now, to understand this concept of method overriding, what we'll do, we'll try to write a class which will have a main method, and then we will try to explore these classes. Okay. So I have written a test method overriding class, okay, which has a main method, obviously. And then I'll assign a variable b to the bank interface. Because bank is an interface, we cannot create the object of the interface directly. Now, if I try to assign this b to the object of SBI bank, then this b will contain the object of SBI bank. Now, why it is called late binding? You can see b equal to new SBI bank. So at the compile time, JVM doesn't know which object is there in bank B. Okay, so it is binded at the runtime only based on the object available in the B. That's why it is called as late binding. Now, if you see in the next line, I'm trying to print B dot get interest rate. So B is a reference of bank, right? Whenever you call this method get interest rate, JVM will go to the bank interface bank and it will try to find out a method get interest rate. It will find one, but it's an abstract method. Then it will try to find out which object is there in the B reference. It's SBI bank, right? So it will go to the SBI bank. It will check whether it is implementing the bank or not. It is implementing. So it will call this overridden method and it will return 5.5, right? And if we assign this B value or rather B reference to the PNB bank, it will return the rate of interest provided by the PNB bank, right? And same goes to the SDFC bank. So that's how method overriding works in Java. Okay. Now let's go to the STS and try to explore method overriding with the real coding. Okay. To save the time, I have already written the code and we'll have a look on that. Okay. So as you can see here, I have written an interface called bank, which has a get interest rate method. Okay. Let me make it a bit larger so that you can see it. Okay. Yeah. So I have written a interface bank which has a get interest rate method. I am writing SBI bank class which is actually implementing the bank and we are trying to override this get interest rate method. Okay. And this overridden method in the SBI bank actually returning 5.5 float value. Okay. Same goes for the PNB bank. It is also implementing the bank interface and we are trying to override this get interest rate method available in the bank interface. Okay. And then it is returning 6.5. Same goes for SDFC, which is returning 7.5. Now, if you come here in the line number 4, what I'm doing, I'm actually writing bank B, which is basically just declaring the bank variable B. Okay. Now, in line number 5, I'm assigning SBI bank object to the B reference. So, in line number 6, when it will call b dot get interest rate, it will actually go to the bank interface, try to find out a method with the name get interest rate. It will go here, try to find out this get interest rate method, and then what will happen? Since this is not a concrete method, it's abstract method, it will try to find out which object is there in the B reference. So it will go to the SBI bank because B reference contains the SBI bank object. Okay. So it will go to the SBI bank, try to invoke this get interest rate overridden method here, and it will return 5.5. And here in this line, we should be getting 5.5. Okay. Same goes for the PNB bank. So here it should be returning 6.5, right? And then for the HDFC Bank, it should be returning 7.5. Okay. Now let us try to run this code and then we'll see if our assertion is correct or not. So you can see here, it has returned 5.5, 6.5 and 7.5. Okay. That's kind of all about method overriding in Java. So that's all for the today. And if you want this code and the notes shown in the video, then please do comment your email ID and you will get this within 24 hours. Also, I'll be posting more such informative video on this channel. So if you found this video helpful, please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.